You've heard of homeschooling? Well, I'm home teaching. Don't ask why, it's none of your business.
Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about Gary schools in Indiana using virtual teachers to help address the educator shortage. There's a lot of thoughts that I have that I'm going to express. I'm going to talk about those during the video. And there's a lot of thoughts that the general public has that we're going to read through these comments and how I found this story, the comments through Instagram.
And right now at 4 o'clock, it was the first day of school today for students in Gary, Indiana, but not every teacher was physically in the classroom.
A teacher shortage has led to the Gary Community School District to temporarily bring in virtual teachers. That's a move drawing both praise and some criticism. It's certainly unusual. NBC5's Christian Farr has more on what this new model looks like there.
Gary School.
Even before we want to talk about that, think about you. You go to school, right? Whatever kind of person you are, you just go to school and it's your first day of school and the first thing you see is a teacher on the screen and you have to sit at a bunch of laptops and there's basically just like a person in the corner watching you. How do you feel? That's it. Just how do you feel? I'd feel like this is some weird ass shit if I was like maybe 16, 17. I don't care what age, no matter what age I go into, I think that's weird. I personally don't even like it when I have like Zoom meetings with people. Think about how these kids are feeling. Think about how dystopian and futuristic it might feel, but also like, wow, nobody wants to make a connection with you. Like that human connection of seeing and being with the teacher.
Officials say that the first day of school is going well, and that includes those virtual teachers. These teachers come from a company called Proximity, and they're filling that gap that not only the district, but also the country is dealing with when it comes to teacher shortages. More than 4,000 students are in the district, but only
This is the conspiracy theory mind in me, because it's not that hard to get people to a job. People want jobs. People want to work. People will be teachers, right? But the fact that a company knew that this would be a problem happening and they're trying to fill that gap, one, why is this even a problem? Why is this a problem that we're facing? Why is this a problem that we're having our children face? This is not a problem adults face. This is the problem children's face. And this isn't a problem children in the best communities and neighborhoods face. No, this is a problem children in some of the poorest and most rural communities face. And that's the most fucked up part about this. That kind of like, you know what's happening, but people aren't saying the quiet part out loud, you know? I'm saying it. You know it's fucking with these kids, bro. Come on, let's be real. You know exactly what these kids are thinking when they're seeing some shit like that. Oh, man, teachers don't even want to teach us anymore. Like, how is this? Again, I know feelings are like sometimes iffy when it comes to education. When it comes to children, you really have to think about that. Some adults don't want to go to work because their feelings are hurt or they feel depressed. Imagine how this makes the kids feel.
small percentage will be instructed by a virtual teacher. For right now, a little less than 13 virtual teachers are teaching subjects throughout the district. District officials say as more and more teachers get their teaching credentials and licenses in order, they will replace those virtual instructors who are aided by teaching assistants who are physically in the classroom.
Before we even get into that, how come the school district noticed this was this was a problem that was happening and that was gonna happen? They knew there was teachers that didn't have licenses or licenses were coming up, right? Why didn't they do anything to fix it? You had months, maybe years in advance to figure this out, and you did nothing. Let's be honest, you did nothing about it. My second part, this is conspiracy theory part of me, is like, I think they planned this from the get. I think they wanted a gap in teachers and a gap in teacher shortages so they can use this proximity company to see if it could even work. Is this something that is a viable option that can be used in certain neighborhoods? And you know for a fact certain places are tested more than others. And to me, this feels like a test. Again, this is like the conspiracy theory brain in me is like, education is very conspiratorial. Everything has a conspiracy theory if you really want to go that deep. But to me, I know there's a lot of money in education. And I know there's a lot of people trying to get as much money out of education as possible because there's millions of dollars that can now be funded toward this proximity company now, right? And now this company can now have a contract with Indiana as a state or Gary as like a county or whatever as a whole. And now they can start teaching in every school throughout the county. Now you don't even need teachers anymore. In certain subjects in certain schools, like now you might not need high school social studies teachers. It might be easier to outsource than have to find somebody to actually do the job. Out of the ease of it, who is it really helping? more money in somebody else's pocket, and only certain communities that are going to benefit from this, right? That's where it goes into like equity and the deeper sense of like who, I like to say like who's benefiting, right? When it comes to education, it always has to be the child. The child has to benefit. In this kind of sense, the child is not benefiting. The adult is benefiting. The adult that owns the proximity company and maybe somebody else that's in this that I don't know about, right? If you follow the money, you'll figure it out.
You follow the money. What do you mean? Where? Oh, I can't tell you that.
Each classroom where there's a virtual teacher has a facilitator. That facilitator has gone through a day's worth of training with proximity, and in that training they learned very specifically what their role would be. And
a day's worth of training, 1 day. I want you to really get that in your brain. 1 day of training to work with a bunch of children.
supporting the virtual teacher while she is online.
We are still hiring. We are still hiring. Hey, we're hiring. We are still hiring. We have people in the hopper right now, but you know, we have to do background checks. We have to make sure that they pass drug tests. We're not just going to put anybody off the street in front of our children and expect things to go well.
Of course, we want what's best.
Do you hear the hypocrisy in what she just said? We're not just going to put anybody in front of our children and expect things to go well. Is that not exactly what you're trying to do right here? You're putting a bunch of strangers in front of your kids and expecting things to go well. We don't know who this facilitator is. That's one stranger. We don't know who this other virtual teacher is. That's a second stranger. Bro, we don't know what this teacher could be doing under the desk while he or she is teaching these kids. If I want to go there, yeah, I'm going to go there. What is the hypocrisy in her statement is crazy. I hate that kind of shit. That's what I mean by like the adults are benefiting from this, not the children.
For the kids, and we know that in-person instruction is what's best, but at the same token, what I do not want is our kids to miss out on classes and opportunities and requirements because of the lack of the teachers in place.
The union representing the teachers in the Gary School District told a public forum recently that this is union busting when it comes to these virtual teachers. But both sides agree, that means the district and the union, that physical teachers are the best in the classroom when it comes to instruction for students. In Gary, Christian Farr, NBC5 News.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Christian.
What I want to do now is read the comments. As you can see, YouTube only has 2. But if you go to Instagram, it has a ton. And if I don't really want to go through this recap, he's basically saying the same thing that the video said. But I do want to hear the people's opinion. But ICE gets $50K sign-on bonus, American priorities. The salary of a teacher is not equivalent to the amount it costs to get the degree. When will those responsible for funding education realize that? Yeah, that's a huge thing. A lot of people don't want to go into education because the pay is shit. How many times do you hear teachers having to work a second job just to make ends meet? Shit, I just got off of summer school, and this teacher that I was working with said she was a waitress on the weekends and after schools when she wasn't working. And I thought that was crazy. Like, how do you have the energy and the time? Gary, Indiana has a 76% black population. It's part of the plan to undermine public education in this country, especially teachers' unions. Yeah. People stop going to school for education degrees due to low pay, lack of discipline of students, and lack of respect from administrators. When you all fix those things, maybe you can get someone interested in being licensed and certified educator again. A Texas-based company. Who cares where the company is based, bro? The fact that we have this problem is the problem. As a teacher who left the classroom, you should have treated us better. There's days where I feel like that. There's a lot of days where I feel like that. Tell me about classroom behavior. Who's going to manage the classroom? The facilitator and the administrators. And that building had security. So that's who's going to fucking manage that shit. Dear America, this is what public education will look like everywhere in 10 years. I think that's what they want. I think the first step, in my opinion, is when we started teaching during COVID and everybody was going through Zoom, and now Zoom has a contract with the Department of Education, and now Google has a contract with the Department of Education, and now I think Apple has a contract with the Department of Education, and how many other companies now have a contract with them just because we went so digital. And now this digital stuff is like getting pushed and pushed and pushed to the point where like every year there's some new company and some new program that you have to learn because they're just, again, there's money in it. Right? And they're always talking about, oh, we have to bridge the gap. We have to bridge the gap. We have to bridge the gap. And Why are we always bridging the gap in those certain schools and those certain populations? Why, like, there's some hard truths we need to talk about that we kind of like glance over a lot, that we don't really want to say because you know you're gonna get in trouble.
I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble.
But we know the truth. We know what the fuck is going on, bro. We need to get paid our worth. You crazy? A teacher getting paid their worth? I'm happy something like this is able to get done because this will give teachers experience, college kids experience without having to be in the classroom. This could work really well for jails. This could work really well for incarcerated people because now you don't have to put the teacher in danger and the security person can be a facilitator. Don't put kids who don't deserve this kind of shit, or just because you don't have enough funding on something. I feel like you're hurting the children. You're really hurting the children. You're hurting their education. But I tell you what, if I'm looking at a teacher on the screen and I wasn't paying attention before, you think I'm going to pay attention now? You crazy. You're crazy. I would like to see how this works in the long run. Of course, they're going to say whatever research for their company works because you can fucking skew research however you want to make money. But those are my thoughts. Am I a little conspiratorial? Yes. Do I think we're going to be in the times of Terminators anytime soon? No. No. I think stuff like this is going to take maybe 50 to 100 years to really catch on because at the end of the day, you can't get rid of warm bodies in a classroom. You need teachers. You know, even when it comes to a facilitator, that facilitator is going to probably be more a connection to those children than the teacher ever will be. I'm going to just tell you the truth, right? But those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts on this whole fucking debacle of a situation when it comes to teaching? I saw this coming. I think a few videos ago I said I saw this coming. They're starting with virtual schools in Texas, right? They're starting with virtual teachers. The next thing is like, why do we need teachers? Why do we need teachers unions? You can just hire the guy from Proximity. If you like the video, give me a like, you know, all that good YouTube stuff. Subscribe to the channel. But I really enjoy this kind of content and making this kind of stuff. Let me know your comments. I really want to hear them. See you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.